This video explains how to get the best out of your Silverson laboratory scale mixer. It is intended as a basic guide to get you started with the machine, but it is essential you read the installation, operation and maintenance manual as well. Our L5 series mixers are not suitable for use on flammable solvents, or for use in hazardous areas where a flammable or explosive atmosphere may be present. Please unpack the mixer carefully. Do not try to lift it out of the box using this tube. It is part of the packing and its function is to protect the shaft coupling in transit. If you try to use it to lift the mixer, it will cause serious damage. So lift the mixer out of the box carefully, like this. The unit weighs around 25 kilograms, so get help if you can't lift it on your own. Cut the strap and remove the tape around the packing tube. Unscrew the sleeve on the packing tube, and when it is fully lowered, the tube and brace can be removed, taking care not to strain the shaft coupling as you remove it. Keep these items in the box for reuse in the future. Before fitting the mixing assembly, rotate the shaft coupling to make sure it runs freely. If there is any unexpected noise and it doesn't turn correctly, contact Silverson before proceeding. To fit the mixing assembly, first remove the knurled nuts, then raise the coupling sleeve and push out the coupling pin. Fit the mixing assembly onto the studs and refit the knurled nuts. Align the draft coupling and the shaft and rotor and insert the coupling pin. Slide the coupling sleeve back into place. It is essential that the sleeve is always in place except when removing the mixing assembly. If you run the mixer without the coupling sleeve in place, the rotor pin can come out at high speed. This could be dangerous, and since the mixer won't work without it, it can prove difficult to find it afterwards. If you are using an Ultramix or tubular assembly, remember the shaft is not supported by the base plate like it is with the standard assembly. This means you need to support the shaft until the coupling pin has been inserted or it will fall out. The operations section in the manual provides full details about the workheads and status screens supplied with your mixer and how to use them for many different tasks. When changing or fitting a workhead, undo the knurled nuts, remove the base plate and swap the head over. The rotor blades may be sharp, so be careful when handling the rotor and shaft. When refitting the base plate, make sure it is located correctly and tightened up evenly, or it might interfere with the smooth running of the mixer. Check the shaft rotates freely and you're ready to go. Check your supply matches the details on the electrical data plate on the back of the mixer before plugging it in. Wait for the mixer to power up fully before switching it on. The control panel is fairly straightforward. This raises and lowers the mixer. This is the speed control as well as the on-off switch. This displays the speed and power draw in amps on the L5T. If you have an L5M or L5-A, it also displays the timer. These models have additional controls for setting the timer. Refer to the manual for how to use these. The raise and lower function automatically stops with sufficient clearance for most typical mixing containers, but if you are using a container with a thick base or any other equipment such as a hot plate, do not allow the mixer to strike the bottom of the vessel as it can cause damage to the machine. It can also break the vessel and you do not want that. Before switching on the mixer, you must make sure the mixing assembly frame is immersed in enough fluid to cover the workhead assembly, including the bearing bush, as an absolute minimum liquid level. If it isn't, overheating and seizure of the shaft can result. So it is important that the mixer must never be run dry. Now you're ready to run the mixer. It is not a good idea to turn the mixer straight up to full speed. It is best to start it slowly and increase the speed gradually. If you're mixing gums and thickeners or other products that increase in viscosity, increase the speed as you mix to maintain movement throughout the vessel. Mixing with the workhead in the center of the vessel causes a large vortex and leads to problems like aeration and spillage. So we recommend mixing slightly off-center for low viscosity applications. Where the viscosity is higher, mixing towards the center may be better as this prevents localized mixing. You can raise and lower the mixer slightly if required to assist the movement of more viscous products, but don't raise it too far. Moving the vessel around slightly can also help with higher viscosities, but if you're using an Ultramix assembly, make sure it doesn't hit the side of the vessel. Never touch the rotating parts of the mixer when it is running. Remember to use the non-slip mat provided with the machine and keep hold of the vessel if it starts to move around. When you stop the mixer, always allow the shaft to stop rotating before raising the assembly. If you exceed the full load current, the motor will stop and the overload fault will be displayed. To restart the mixer, Turn the speed control to off and then turn the main power switch off, then back on. If the mixer stops unexpectedly for other reasons, such as an interruption or surge in the power supply, the mixer will trip out as a safety measure. Reset it by switching the speed control to off. With an L5-A, if you're using the timer to count down, it will stop at 0. You have to turn the speed control to off before it will run again. Cleaning is a simple process. A short run in water, detergent or other non-flammable solvent is generally sufficient to clean the wetted parts. Note, the enclosure is not waterproof, hose-proof or weatherproof. It should never be sprayed or immersed in water. Dismantling the mixing assembly for inspection or manual cleaning is a simple process. You can clean the mixing assembly with water or most commonly used cleaning chemicals. Don't use abrasive products or scour the assembly with sharp objects, and if you're using flammable solvents to clean it, do so in a safe area away from the mixer. Sanitizing chemicals can be corrosive, so refer to the manual if you're using these. Maintenance requirements are minimal, but it is good practice to inspect the bearing bush regularly to check for wear, especially if you're mixing abrasive products. If there is any movement of the shaft within the bush, it should be replaced. Failure to do so will affect performance and can damage the mixer. The manual provides instructions on how to change the bush as well as full details of other maintenance procedures. There is also a troubleshooting guide, but if in doubt, call us for help or advice.